Kieran McKenna's Ipswich Town are quickly getting down to their bare bones as they go searching for points to bolster their survival hopes. The next opportunity away at Crystal Palace in the Premier League. Welcome to Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast. Evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Prematch show. It feels like it's a while since we've done a Thursday night, but here we are talking Crystal Palace. I'm going to give you the insights, the intel, make you get in the know so you can pass this off as your own and pretend like you're really smart, as always. Joining me, Seb Brown. And yeah, it's a little bit of walking wounded after Monday night, isn't it, Seb?
It is, isn't it? Yeah, McKenna's done the pre-match presser today and hashtag bare bones. What did he say? We're doing our best to get a competitive squad out. I think there's a little bit of mind games in there. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe if the couple players that we aren't expecting to feature might make a miraculous recovery. I just think he's maybe keeping his cards close to his chest. But there are injury issues, and that's been the story of the season, really, hasn't it? You know, you can look back at key personnel, key moments, key positions that we've lost out in, and welcome to the Premier League, a league of power and physicality and pace, where player recovery time is tenfold what these guys are used to, and it's just an inevitable consequence of moving up the leagues, isn't it?
Yeah, when you're talking about physicality, a team that schooled us at Portman Road a little bit on that is Crystal Palace. We'll talk more about that later on. What are your reflections of Monday night, Seb? If that would have been a Premier League 1-1 in 90 minutes performance, I think plenty to be proud of, and even despite the penalty defeat, proud. Is that your overriding emotion?
Yeah, very much so. You know, Forest went stronger than I kind of thought they would. I think I sat here a week ago with Craig and Dave, and they'd heavily rotated in their previous 2 FA Cup games. I think they'd kept one of the previous starting 11. So I was expecting a little bit more rotation. So when the two sides came out, we, as expected, kind of pretty much changed most of our squad, injuries permitting. And obviously when I saw the Forest team, I thought, they are taking it more seriously than I perhaps thought. And I thought the first half was really poor. I thought it was a really poor game between, kind of two sides where one is kind of struggling to break us down, and we haven't really got that rhythm and understanding given the amount of changes. And then second half, really, really proud. I thought Wolfenden was excellent. I thought Morsey was kind of back to his best. The picking up the ball off the defence and the keeper, the quick glance over the shoulder, and then kind of driving forward with the ball. We've not seen that in recent weeks. It was great to see that working again. And like you say, proud, and the defensive kind of stability was a massive encouragement for me. I thought it wasn't so much like Villa where it was, real backs to the wall stuff and your keepers pulling out blinding save after blinding save. I just thought we were defensively really, really solid, and to restrict Forest to, was it 4 shots, I think, on target in 120 minutes, given they like to hit sides on the break. They're very fast in the transition, and they're obviously having a very, very good season. So I thought that was, really, really encouraging. And then the penalty shootout was, 9 superb quality penalties, and unfortunately for Jack Taylor, he's the guy that misses after he missed against Wimbledon in the cup in back in August, whenever it was. So really encouraged, like you say. If that had been a Premier League game and we're walking away with a point, then you'd be really delighted with that, and that's what we have to take from that game.
Yeah, and a good away support. AD Papped in the crowd on the TV again. He says, I must have a good agent. Need to get a pay rise, AD, on that one. But great numbers in the away end, Seb. No membership point for that one Monday night on the telly. Blue Army doing us proud, aren't they?
Yeah, massively so. I mean, you could hear them coming across for most of the game. Forest is always a decent atmosphere. Is it the Mull of Kintyre, the song they play at the start of the first half and the second half? That always gets the crowd going. But the Blue Army came across brilliantly on telly. And like you say, it's a Monday night. It's no away point on offer. It's still sold out, still incredibly loud. And, I know things are a little bit tough with the league position at the moment, but the support that the fan base is given is absolutely superb, isn't it?
Some love from Bluey here for Luke Wolfenden, probably up there with his performance of the season, maybe?
Excellent. I thought he was really, really impressive the way he kind of came back. He had a few weeks out, didn't he? He's not featured recently, but he came on at half time against Villa away, obviously. I think he came on a substitute appearance against somebody else as well. At home to Spurs, wasn't it? And the way he came back in and settled in was excellent. I thought he was brilliant all game. And I'd have him. Well, we'll discuss the starting lineups for the weekend towards the end of the show, but spoiler alert, he's in mine.
Yeah, and Rob advocating for Ben Johnson. I thought there was times where he probably was a yard off his man. I think it was was it Alanga that he had to deal with? But I was impressed that he managed to see the game out. Whether he can do 290s in a week is probably the big question. Again, we'll speculate more about that later on. Get your thinking caps on. Richard also advocating for Connor Townsend. Another good shift, as the cliche goes, for Connor Townsend, Seb.
He's so impressive, isn't he? I mean, Coventry away aside in the fourth round of the Cup, every time he's played, he just looks so assured, and he's got a great delivery on him. And he's, defensively, he's a better defender, I would say, than Leif Davis. Obviously, going forward, maybe you don't get as much, but yeah, I think he's an excellent understudy. Was it the Man United preview or the Spurs? I think it was Man United preview. We debated: is it time for him to kind of come into the side and have a bit of a run of games? I think McKenna will stick with Leif Davis for the league campaign, kind of, assuming he's fit and good to go. But in Townsend, we do seem to have an excellent deputy. And if Leif Davis moves on in the summer, I'd have no real qualms if Connor Townsend was to be made the first choice left back next season. He's incredibly experienced, and defensively, he kind of adds a bit more solidity down that left hand side.
And some good deliveries, albeit a crap free kick in there, I think, straight at the cells, wasn't it? But other than that, got some crosses in, and I like both him and Philogene just get the ball in. They don't. There's a little bit of step over, what have you, but there's no checking back in and trying to find a pass. It's get the ball in the danger zone, and I like that about Townsend. But we'll talk more about the Town lineup later on. Thanks everyone for joining us. We've put some comments up. Good to see the usual VIPs. Little bit of negativity maybe around the place, not so much in the live chat, Seb, but we were talking before we came on air. Where were we 4 years ago? Do you want to divulge what we weren't there because I don't think we're able to watch matches at this point, but 4 years ago we were watching.
Yeah, 4 years ago, everyone, Paul Cook has just taken over, I think, a few days previously, and we're about to go to Gillingham for his first real game in charge. He was on the sidelines at Fleetwood, but I don't think he'd been officially announced at that stage. But we went away to Gillingham on the Saturday after he joined us. We lose 3-1. It's crap. I think Freddie Sears might have scored, and it was kind of a taste of what was about to come. But yeah, 4 years ago we had that. 3 years ago, did we work out? We were playing we lost to Cambridge at home around this time. I think we beat Fleetwood 2-0 to the day, but we kind of lost to Cambridge round about this side that put pay to our playoff chances. And this conversation came out in the green room because I mentioned, obviously, a year ago yesterday was the 3-2 Bristol City game. The Leif Davis late goal after Ali Al-Hamadi missed that penalty. The Sky commentary saying, if you think Ipswich Town are going to wither away in this promotion race, think again. And we're getting close to that time of year now, aren't we, where all these games are going to be coming thick and fast. It'll be the 6-0 Sheffield Wednesday in a couple of weeks, Blackburn away, Sarmiento, Southampton shortly. It's all to come. So yeah, great to look back and see those memories.
Yes. Paul Cook said Woody Wood with a face palm emoji in the chat. Yeah. So I guess always important to reflect where we've come and how quickly we find ourselves facing challenges like Crystal Palace with a little bit of a depleted squad. So hopefully some positivity to start the show ahead of giving you a bit of a reality check on how an established Premier League team like Crystal Palace is faring. Before we go to that, need to shout out ITFC women. Defeated last time out. Little bit of a frustrating one. I don't think that anyone in the club is going to say it as explicitly as I will, but hashtag move the game from their usual home venue at Aveley, and a little bit housing, Seb, and a really grotty pitch, an injury to Maria Boswell that looks quite serious. We wish her all the best. Friend of the pod did a great interview with us a few months ago, so we wish her all the best. But a big opportunity to bounce back again on the road. But AFC Wimbledon in their proper stadium on Sunday. So if you're in town for the Palace game, or if you're able to get into the capital on Sunday, go and support the girls at AFC Wimbledon at Plough Lane, or the Cherry Red Record Stadium, is it? I think. Town obviously looking to bounce back, and Wimbledon in kind of middling form. I think lost their last three according to Seb, who's done the research. But the other thing as well to kind of draw people's attentions to is the game against Plymouth in March at Portman Road on Sunday. Get your tickets now, they're on general sale. It'd be great to surpass that 10k gate that we got last time. We'll do more about that nearer the time. We're definitely going to speak to Lucy O'Brien, sponsored by the Friends of Blue Monday, and someone else associated with the club as well. So really excited to support that one. And that's an international break weekend. The club have decided to stick with it on the Sunday, charge the same prices. So there's no issues if you want to support a non-league team on the Saturday. Get down to Portman Road on the Sunday. So more about that, as we say, as we get through to March. Palace, Seb. One of these teams that it's quite easy, I guess, for us to be envious of. They're probably doing what we would hope to do and then build from there. But probably when we played them, not in great form. And since they've beaten us, a certain player might have come into form that's helped, but they appear to be steadied, and all of the kind of uncertainty about whether they were going to be in a relegation fight, that's gone now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It was early December. It was that same week, wasn't it? It was Forest away on the Saturday, Palace at home Tuesday or Wednesday, and then Bournemouth at home the following Sunday. And it was 3 1-0 defeats. And at that point, I think we were joint level on points with them, maybe 8 or 9 points each. They hadn't started the season well. They're now in their 12th or 11th or 12th season in the Premier League. And we've kind of spoken in the past. Obviously, there was no Palace pre-match show back in December because it was a midweek game. But there have been certain times where you may have sat here and said, Bournemouth, Brighton, Brentford are these kind of clubs where we have to look to the model to follow. And Palace are kind of another one of those sides. They've never really been involved in relegation battles since returning to the Premier League. And yes, they started this season very poorly, stuck with the manager. I'll discuss that a bit later when we come to him, because they have got a history in the past of kind of moving managers on when they panic a little bit. Stuck with him, and now they're reaping the rewards. That win against us kind of kick-started a run of form. There are no issues whatsoever in terms of relegation battle. They'll have kind of eyes further up the table. They're not that far off the likes of Brighton and Aston Villa, but I guess the story you could say is far too good to be involved in a relegation battle. Probably not quite good enough to breach those European places. So they'll be looking at another season of kind of 10th, 11th, 12th, which, you know, for them is decent, and they continue to build, and they've got a very clear recruitment strategy that we'll talk about later, and it's working really, really well for them.
Yeah, exactly right. And a player in Adam Wharton who's just come back from injury too. Great timing for us. We'll talk more about him and his effect on certainly the victory against Villa. Very influential in that, wasn't he? So, yeah, we'll talk more about them later on. But lots to like, lots to aspire to. Albeit, I know that there'll be plenty of people here saying we've got a bigger history than Palace. You know, true, but it doesn't mean too much in 2025.
11 years of Premier League transfer windows, guys. The difference it makes.
Sadly,
ridiculous. Yeah,
well, there's definitely a podcast here. I think it's a podcast before we get relegated where we bitch about how
if we get relegated, Richard.
We get relegated, there's a podcast about how unfair the Premier League is. You need to do that before rather than after. Then you don't get accused of sour grapes. State of play with Palace. Seb, give us the stats.
Sat 12, 36 points, played 27, won 9, drawn 9, lost 9, scored 35 goals, conceded 33. They are the 4th fewest goals conceded in the league, and they are the highest underperformers on XG of 46 versus 35 goals scored. So excellent defensively, but they simply don't score enough goals. Last 5 overall, 3 wins. Aston Villa last time out in the league, 4-1. Fulham and Man United. 2 defeats, Everton and Brentford. Their home form, however, isn't that great at all, really. It's the away form that's kind of propelled them up the league in the last couple of months. They're 16th in the home form table with only 14 points, so less than a point per game from their kind of their home. That's right, exactly a point a game from their home form. Played 14, only won 3. 2 of those have come in the last few weeks as well. Drawn 5, lost 6, scored 16 goals at home, so averaging just over a goal a game, and conceded 22. 4 of those 16 goals scored came in the last game against Villa, so they've not had that many goals to cheer about so far this campaign. They're the lowest scorers at home outside of the 3 relegation place sides, us, Southampton and Leicester. Other than us 3, they've scored the fewest goals at their home ground. Their last 5 at home is 2 wins, Villa and Southampton. So remember that they've only won 3 all season, but they have won 2 in the last 5. 1 draw against Chelsea and 3 defeats. 2 defeats. Everton and Brentford. And they basically recovered really well from this poor start. They were in the relegation places until match week 12. They went away to got their first win away at Spurs, just like we did a couple of weeks later. And then that kind of win against us and the win against Spurs propelled them for this kind of run of only 1 defeat in 8, and that's what really pulled clear of the relegation zone. That's why they've got no real issues. And yeah, like I say, 12th consecutive season in the Premier League. They are a stable Premier League club. Fair play. Didn't panic at the start of the season when a lot of clubs might have pushed the button maybe on the manager, or certainly you might have heard more dissenting voices in the press, etc., about their position. But they stuck with him, and now they're just reaping the rewards.
Yep. And we're not going to talk too much about the Everton game, but of all the ones that we probably want to emulate, it's the Everton game where kind of two sucker punch goals really for Everton, 40% possession. That feels like the pattern that we want to emulate rather than Seb. We won't talk too much about the Villa game, apart from how it pertains to Mateta and that shocking challenge. But the Villa game, Seb, was probably a little bit eye-opening, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Anything
it
you were
was.
going to talk to us about that?
Yeah, so they won 3-1 in the FA Cup last weekend against Millwall. We'll discuss Jean-Philippe Mateta when we come to their lineup. It was a 4-1 victory, however, last time against Aston Villa in the league, the last time they played in the Premier League a couple of weekends ago. A fully deserved victory. I mean, their XG was 4.31 to Villa's 0.38. 19 shots, 6 on target. Goals, double from Ismail Issar. Jean-Philippe Mateta scored, and Eddie Nketiah got his first Premier League goal of the season after his kind of big money, probably big money, you class it as, move from Arsenal. Fully deserved victory, really, really impressive. All of those goals kind of started from the wide positions. Either it was like a deep cross to the back post, which is a header down for the keeper to push
Adam
back
Wharton.
into. Yeah, Adam Wharton had a really, really good game. Eze, I think, was involved from the flanks, and Tariq Mitchell, the left back, was involved from the flanks for the Nketiah goal, right on the goal line, right towards the death, where he just taps it home from about 2 yards out. So, yeah, they're a side that have a lot of threat down the flanks.
Yeah, and the XG there for it, a lot of these chances snaffled away in the penalty box around the penalty spot, 6-yard box area. I think Mateta's goal was from the edge of the box, and really nice shot, side foot, kind of caressed into the corner of the net, wasn't it? But Sarr's goals in particular, and I think Nketiah, similar to Millwall goals, actually, all of them really high XG chances. And I know you talked about they've kind of underperformed against their XG, but they're actually creating quite good quality chances. They're just maybe Pickford did quite well for Villa, I think. And maybe there's some profligacy in there too. But the chances they create are in and around the penalty area, and Villa's defending was so static. So we can't afford to be standing off. We can't afford to be static or zonal, and we've got to pick up man for man where we can. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Oliver Glasner, we haven't had an opportunity to talk about the Palace boss because this is our first chat about them in the pre-match show. Do you want to give us the profile on him?
Yeah, really like him. He's very similar to Kieran McKenna. It sounds like when Oliver Glasner was appointed in February 2024, McKenna was probably a lot closer to that potential appointment than we thought perhaps at the time. I think as time's gone by, it's come out that he was pretty close to doing that deal. So it's no surprise they've kind of got a direct kind of model for what they want in a manager. He's kind of very process driven, very methodical, very highly rated tactically. Took over last February. Obviously, Roy Hodgson underwent he fell ill, didn't he? And he kind of was overseeing a run of, I think it was 10 defeats in 17 games. So there were rumours that he was kind of not long for the Palace position. Oliver Glasner came in. They went on a brilliant run of form after he came in, took 24 points from the remaining 13 games. They shot up the table pretty quickly, which is why I guess the start this season was such a shock for them. He really got Mateta going. Mateta had kind of been a solid kind of player in previous years, but it was when Glasner came in that Mateta took his game to a new level, and we've seen that continue this season as well. So clubs were so impressed that Bayern Munich came in for him last summer before they appointed, I think, 8th choice Vincent Kompany in the end. But I think they were put off by the Palace the compensation clause sounded chunky, so they were put off by that. He's got a bit of honours. He won the Europa League with Eintracht Frankfurt in 2022. Also managed SV Ried, LASK, and Wolfsburg as well. So yeah, kind of one of these. He's obviously older than the likes of McKenna and stuff, but one of these kind of, this new breed of these coaches who are very process driven, very methodical, excellent tactically. And in the past, we've seen with Patrick Vieira and with Ronald de Boer or Frank de Boer, one of the de Boer twins, Palace have pulled the trigger quite quickly. De Boer got very little time at all at the start of a season.
For good reason.
Patrick Vieira. Sorry.
He was right. De Boer was poor, though, wasn't he?
We had to let him go in the end. He was rubbish. Patrick Vieira had a really good season with them, kind of changed the playing style away from what Roy Hodgson was doing. But as soon as things started, I mean, they were on a bad run of form. It was followed on from the Winter World Cup, didn't it? They kind of went on a bad run, and they bought Roy Hodgson back as a safe and steady pair of hands. And I guess they would have been tempted perhaps maybe to make a change at the start of the season. If you're in the relegation places until the 12th game of the season or in and around them, I guess the temptation would be there to change something. But fair play, they've got a good one here. If Bayern Munich are knocking on your door in the summer after him, then you're on something special. They've kept him, and he'll do really well for them because he's an excellent manager.
Yeah, as you say, that kind of process, methodical, I think your words, just efficiency, but also systems and basic principles that you build as a foundation to then expand on and to get the goals from. And there's a point where even if the form is kind of tailing off a little bit, those fundamentals at some point they get you back on course usually, or they get you sacked. But in this instance, the patience with Glaston's paid off, hasn't it? And you can see that week after week, very consistent. We're not in a kind of cool Palace. The Villa game is maybe a bit of an outlier in terms of goals and extravagance attacking play, but they get the job done, don't they? And very efficiently done too. Head-to-head record, Seb, actually positive. And I was scratching my brains about, can I scratch my brains? Scratch my head, thinking frying in the think walk, moments away at Palace. And the only one that springs to mind is the 4-3 Shefki Kuchi.
Yeah.
But the record overall is pretty good, isn't it, in our favour?
Yeah, we've played them a lot compared to some of these numbers we've given in recent weeks. There's been a lot of games between the two sides. 32 wins for Town, 24 draws between the two, and 28 wins for Palace. The last time we went to Selhurst Park was a 2-1 League Cup defeat in August 2017. Mick played the kids. Luke Wolfenden did play, but it was basically the academy side plus Danny Rowe plus Bersant Salina, the likes of Ben Falami and Tristan Nydam. Flynn Downs played. He kind of changed everything. That was the last time we went there. The last league game there was a 5-0 defeat in November 2012. I think that was about a week after Mick McCarthy took over. I think he said we got slapped. We won away at Birmingham and then got battered by Leicester and Palace,
6-0, and then Palace. Yeah.
Leicester and Palace. It might have been consecutive games. Got absolutely battered. And our last victory there was at the start of the 2010-11 season under Roy Keane. So Roy Keane's second season, we went there and won 2-1 very early in the season,
Garvin?
about 3 games in. Owen Garvin, I think, had just joined Palace, as had David Wright, as had somebody else. I can't remember. Yeah. So but it's funny you're wondering about the lineup, because I've got the lineup quiz back for you there. Neil knows what's coming. Obviously, there was no Blue Monday rewind this week, so I'm not harsh enough to give you the 2017 League Cup game, because you would be really struggling. So do you want the 5-0 November 2012 game, or do you want the August 2010 victory? What would you rather, my friend?
It's got to be the 5-0, because I haven't got a clues in that 2010 victory team. I couldn't even. Who scored the goals? Who scored? Did you say who scored the goals in the 2-1 game?
No, I didn't actually note that down. I've forgotten to write that down, which is poor on my behalf. I think Grant Ledbetter might have got one. Maybe David Norris. Norris scored a lot of the start of that season. So
I posted the goal on socials. Once upon a time, someone asked for it. Maybe David Norris asked for it. Let me do the victory team, and
it's a 5-0 defeat, and it's Mick McCarthy, so it's 4-4 effing 2.
Right, well, I'll hide the chat until I figure out how crap I am. So we were at the Birmingham game, his first game, right? Yep. So I can probably do quite a few from that team.
Your eyes are looking down, which is making me
suspicious. I'm trying to multitask. I'm shutting the chat. Okay. I'm trying to remember who was in goal though, and I want to say like a loan.
It was a loan. Shock.
Was it Stephen Henderson?
It was Stephen Henderson.
So Chambo would have been in there. No,
centre back.
Yeah. Lee Martin.
Yeah.
Carlos Edwards, presumably right back, not right wing, or right wing, not right back.
I'm getting suspicious here, folks. Go
on. No.
You don't hold your hands up. That means nothing.
I don't know why I'm doing that. Wow. I did see in the chat from Neil, DJ Campbell.
Yeah.
Is he signed by that point?
Yeah, he's on loan.
I'm gonna need some help now.
So Edwards was right back, Chambers was right centre back, so left back should be a pretty straightforward one. Sold to West Ham for
Cresswell.
Money back in the day. Aaron Cresswell. Yeah. The centre half alongside Luke Chambers was a lone player who didn't play that many more times for
Danny.
Stoke.
Oh no, is it Danny? Oh crap!
Got the right pundit now. You're thinking, is it Danny Collins or is Danny Higginbotham? Is what you're thinking, isn't it?
Higginbotham was the one I was going for. Yeah. Not Danny Collins. Is there a lone in midfield? Richie Wellings in midfield or something like that?
Yeah.
Is he there? Is it a player like that?
Yeah, Richie Wellings played. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Grant.
I'm calling shenanigans. Two more central midfield. One goes on a very short term. I think it was almost a week by week rolling contract. And he buggered off to the MLS. No.
Oh, Rio Coca.
Yeah.
He was crap for us, wasn't he? Good player for Villa, but crap.
So you need DJ Campbell's kind of strike partner.
Was it
Come
Daryl
on.
Murphy on loan?
Yeah, Daryl Murphy. Mick moved him up front after Paul Jewell played him on the left wing for about 2 years. And then the other central midfielder alongside Rio Coca was signed from Luton. Didn't really do much.
Andy
50 grand,
Drury.
I think he cost us. Andy Drury, yeah.
Yeah, the chat didn't help me there much, I'll be honest.
No, but the lineup you had on the screen probably did.
Neil, oh, come on now. I'm not cheat. I haven't had any time to prep. Jumped off the train straight onto the pod. But yeah, a lot of memories for the 4-3. Someone
Do you want the lineup for the 2-1 to quell your kind of...
Sure.
Why not? Martin Phillip in goal, Jamie Peters right back, Macaulay and Smith, the two centre backs, Darren O'Day left back, Carlos Edwards, Grant Ledbetter, David Norris, Luke Hyam, and Andros Townsend were the midfield, like it was a 4-5-1, and John Stead played up front. And somebody put in the
someone did say that.
Yeah, I think it was John Stead's last game before we let him go to Bristol City. Was it? I think, yeah.
Yeah, and AD says the famous all-white town shirt. I've got. I think there's been a couple of those, AD. I think I've got one of them, the Power Gem one. Should have put it on. Should have got it.
We're assuming we're playing in pink, hence you've got the branding for the weekend.
Yeah, well, AD's mentioned that as
Palace
well.
wear blue and kind of similar stripes to our away. It can't be our away kit. It can't.
Should we do some hedging of our bets? Let's revert back to blue for a few minutes, and then we'll go back to look. I've got all of them, all of the options. But yeah, we think it's the pink kit because the blue's going to clash, isn't it? So
I would have thought so. Yeah.
We're going to go with that. And Townsend, good ITFC Palace connections there. Andros Townsend scored a great goal for Palace at Man City, didn't he? I seem to remember a few years back. So yeah, there you go. I did all right, and I did not cheat. I can confirm I did not cheat. I kind of thought the days of the lineup quiz were gone, so otherwise I would have cheated.
When you thought you're out, it pulls you back in.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. The game at Portman Road, Seb. Were you able to follow that one? It was a bit crap, wasn't it?
Yeah, I watched it. Was it on the red button or I don't know, whatever it was on at the time? Yeah, it was. We didn't really lay a glove on them, did we? A 1-0 defeat. John Philippe Mateta in the second half. I think we hit the woodwork through somebody, but I can't remember who. And as I said earlier, it was that horrible week of Forest away, 1-0 defeat, Palace at home, 1-0 defeat, Bournemouth at home on the Sunday, 2-1 defeat in horrible kind of circumstances. So, yeah, I seem to remember that was, although it was December, I think that was one of the times I kind of just thought, every week we are seeing these physical specimens just dominate us all over the park. And maybe that was when there must have been about 2 weeks or so after, maybe a bit more, maybe 3 weeks after Spurs. And we did kind of think that maybe this is going to be a bit of a tough gig, as it proved out to be that night.
Yeah, and the less we talk about the goal, the better. I think we move on. Alex Palmer in nets now. We move on. January business, Seb, not a huge amount of action. Couple of ins, couple of outs.
Yeah, steady. So Roman Essays come in from Millwall, 12 million quid, kind of continuing this kind of recruitment model they've got. Yeah, this recruitment model they've got of EFL talent, which they kind of develop and then look to sell on for a fee in future years. Ben Chilwell also came in on loan from Chelsea, obviously famously frozen out on the eve of the season by Enzo Maresca at Chelsea. Didn't really feature for much at all, I don't think, in the first half of the year. He's gone on loan to provide a bit of competition at left back.
They played someone. I was going to say they played someone crap. That's a bit disrespectful. They played a League Two or League One team, I think, in the League Cup, and he played in that game. He was kind of chucked in there like, "This is your level, mate." So, like Raheem Sterling bombed out, wasn't he, early doors by Maresca. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. He's gone there on loan. And a couple of departures. Jeffrey Schlupp, kind of a solid he must be in his mid-30s by now, I would suggest. Solid squad player. He's gone to loan to Celtic for the second half of the season. And Rob Holding, they signed him from Arsenal. He's gone on loan to Sheffield United to team up with Harry Clark and Kiefer Moore, trying to get promotion out of the Championship. So a couple of ins and a couple of outs. And this recruitment strategy they have is really, really clear, isn't it? You know, we all know Michael Elise signed him for 8 million quid from Reading, sold to Bayern Munich for 50 million pounds. Joachim Andersen signed for 15 million quid, sold to Fulham for 30 million. Aaron Wan-Bissaka came to their academy, sold to Man United for 50 million. Mark Gahey was chased pretty much all of last summer's transfer window by Newcastle for a fee between sort of 60 and 70 million. He cost them 20 from Chelsea, and presumably Eze and Wharton are the next ones off the kind of the line to go out, bring in a load of money, which will then be reinvested in a similar model. And Steve Parish, I know he's not the majority owner anymore, but he's kind of the spokesperson, is he, for the club? I think they're majority owned by a US group now. He's spoken in the past about their kind of sustainability and what they want to move towards, and they have an excellent recruitment structure, as sides which do spend this amount of time in the Premier League do tend to have these days, and they get it right a lot more than they get it wrong.
Yeah, and obviously Wilf Zaha started all of that transfer
Well,
shenanigans.
ironically, they got no fee. They sold him to Man United, didn't they?
Yeah.
Bought him back, and then every summer he seemed to be linked with £100 million move to Arsenal or somewhere, and eventually he went on a free to Turkey, didn't he? And now I think he's in the MLS.
He's in the
now.
MLS. I think he
North
scored
Charlotte.
a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he ironically he was one which they probably
the
could
move
have
to
got
Man
the most.
United. I was going to.
Yeah, they got the fee from Man United and bought him back. But yeah, every year you thought he'd be the next big one to go, and eventually it was a free transfer.
Do you want to talk us through the Glasner system there, Seb? It looks like a back three according to what you've written down here for me.
It's not a 4-2-3-1, which is a nice bit of a change. Do you want to put the tactical pad on the screen? Yep. So lined up with a 3 at the back system, 2 full-backs who like to push on, a solid central midfield. In this case, against Villa last week, it was Adam Wharton and Will Hughes. And then the 2 number 10s behind the central striker, a bit like when McKenna took over. I think we've mentioned this a couple of times in the past, where you kind of had a couple of number 10s in Selena and Chaplin behind somebody like Macaulay Bonne or James Norwood. If we do our usual and we jump it to the average player positions, you can see it does kind of remain a similar kind of back 3. Now, Mark Gahey does like to drift left and link up with Tyreek Mitchell down the left-hand side. The full-backs in the average player positions don't really bomb on that much compared to what we've seen from some sides in recent weeks. Wharton and Hughes provide that kind of central midfield kind of cover. And then, interestingly, unsurprisingly, perhaps given his physicality and how we play, especially the game at Portman Road that we saw, the 2 10s push past Mateta. So Mateta will kind of, hold the ball up and look for runners in behind. Ismail Assar on the right-hand side and Eze on the left-hand side are the 2 most advanced players in this particular game against Villa, and that's because of Mateta's ability to hold the ball up and bring others into play. If we then move it on to the player touches, it kind of becomes more of a kind of a, should we say, a 3-4-1-2. It kind of flips round a little bit. So there was a gap previously. If I take you back to this screen, there was quite a big gap here between Lacroix, the sort of central defender, and Gahey on the left-hand side. When you go to the player touches, Adam Wharton has filled that gap quite nicely. This doesn't really do him justice because he was involved quite heavily further up the pitch in a couple of the goals. So he will kind of be everywhere as a bit of a box-to-box role. And as I said earlier, the 2 number 10s push on past Mateta, and the full-backs kind of hang around the halfway line. What will be interesting at the weekend, obviously we've seen the horror tackle in the Millwall game for Mateta. Presumably he is out. He's had multiple stitches. I'm not sure it's been confirmed anyway. He's definitely out, but let's assume he is.
I think he is.
They will play Eddie Nketiah instead, who got his first goal against Villa last time out, but is a very different kind of player to Mateta in terms of his physicality and hold-up play. So they might well have to tweak some things given the change in personnel at the top end of the pitch.
Having issues with the tactical pad, so sorry about that. No idea what's going on there, so apologies. But can you stick it back to phase 1, Seb, just to show us the starting position?
Yeah, that one there.
Yeah. So hopefully,
so a 3-4-2-1 is how they line up the player positions. You get the big gap at the centre back, and then the 3.
Not working. Blame Seb. Blame StreamYard. StreamYard's.
Did you not get it on the screen? Oh right, okay.
No, it's not working. We can see it, but no one else can. So
rubbish.
We'll get Seb to do a video of it, and we'll put it out later on. So yeah, you just have to talk it through. It's like people listening on podcasts. There you go. We've leveled the playing field for everybody. Let's move on. So it's a 3-4-2-1. We think at the back.
Yeah. It's always a 3 at the back. They've used 3-4-2-1 24 times. It's a solid back line. They are big. Lacroix, Chris Richards, Mark Gahey. He's quick. He's not as tall as the other ones, but he is quick. It's incredibly high pressing intensity. They're kind of 3rd/4th in the pressing intensity stats behind the likes of Bournemouth, Brentford, Spurs, etc. The system does require that physical number 9, so it will be interesting to see how they change. They're very low possession-wise. They're not bothered about having the ball. 43% possession is the 4th lowest in the league. They are bottom for passing accuracy with only 77%. A bit like Forest, they're very keen to hit sides quickly, kind of on the break, and they're not afraid to get the ball forward quickly. 56 long balls per game is the 3rd highest behind Forest, and they are 2nd lowest for build-up time before a shot, again, behind Forest. So happy to get the ball forward quickly and get shots off.
And key players we talked a little bit about. I've certainly talked up Adam Wharton. We mentioned Eberici Eze as well. Probably Nketiah from Mateta is probably, well, Nketiah's got a good caliber, isn't he? Good pedigree. But in terms of the goals, Mateta's had a great season for them. So that will be a big loss. And we're pretty certain, I think, because of the stitches that he needed, the recovery time is a longer than a week. It's kind of like a concussion thing. Yeah. I think you have to give it time to heal properly. So he will be missing on Sunday, on Saturday, which is not great for him, but helpful for us, I guess. But then you bring in Nketiah, don't you? So yeah, talk us through it, Seb.
Yeah, so Ismail Assar is probably the other key player we've not mentioned really that much yet. 6 goals and 3 assists, plays behind the striker as a 10, likes to drift out wide. Dean Henderson, former Man United, former kind of England goalkeeper. He might still be in the England squad. He'll be the keeper. 8 clean sheets in 27 games so far this season. 5th in the goals prevented stats. You've already mentioned Jean-Philippe Mateta. We're anticipating he won't feature. Neither will Will Hughes, which is quite useful. He got his 10th yellow card of the season, a bit like Liam Delap is probably going to get at the weekend. So he misses the next 2 league games for Palace. That's useful because he is a kind of really solid midfield player. I'd have no issue if we were to sign him. I've always liked him since he came through at Derby. That means Jefferson Lerner will probably come in. Will probably come in. They signed him from Bournemouth when Bournemouth were relegated a couple of seasons ago. They've got a few injury issues. Joel Ward has been out since December but hadn't really featured. We tried to sign him once. Do you remember? We tried to sign him and Pearce from Pompey, and I think Simon Clegg couldn't get the deal done on more than one occasion. And they've got a couple of long-termers. They've got Czech Decore, a central midfielder, got a knee issue, out for the season, and Chadi Riyad, centre-half, done his ACL, and he's out for the season as well. But the 2 big boosts for us are the absence of Will Hughes through suspension, and sadly for him, obviously Jean-Philippe Mateta through the tackle of last weekend.
Yeah, Will Hughes was always going to be one of those perennial, like, on the verge of a breakthrough when he was with Derby and then Watford, but always seemed to get injured. And now he's gone on a run at Palace where he's just stayed fit and he's just so consistent in that central midfield spot. So that is a big upside for us that he's not there. Anything else we want to add before we start talking about us, Seb, or should we take?
No, I got rid of the Seb Insight because I can't bring myself to do it after the Southampton home game. So that has been retired for the season. It might come back next year. You never know.
And talking about the referees does us no good either. So we will take a break. We'll listen to our what Mikey has to say. A difficult weekend in the Mikey Penty Smith household, by the way. Some competing allegiances there. So good luck to Mikey's probably going to be the one who's going to be disappointed, isn't he? Let's be honest. But we'll come back and see what's what with how Ipswich will line up after this.
Blue Monday is proudly brought to you in partnership with our friends at Atwell Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for work on property or business law. Their client care has repeatedly been recognised as outstanding, and they are people-focused with a plain English approach which sets them apart. They have offices in Ipswich, Colchester and London, and to find out more, head to atwells.com.
Thank you to Atwells. Thank you to One Stop Badges as well for their support of the pod this season. You can get yourself a 10% promo at One Stop Badges in the link in the description, both on the podcast and in the YouTube feed. And I might have a couple of... Will I be allowed in with badges with needles on them? Probably not on Saturday. So look out for us at home games. And I think the plan is to get some more too. So if you want a Blue Monday limited edition until we keep buying more of them badge, then do shout us out at a home match. Usual deal Sunday, Flagship show back Sunday night, 8 p.m. with Ben, Dave and Joe. I think we're doing some predictions on Friday with Ben and Mikey. But as always, the conversation continues 24/7, 365, including kit speculation for next season and all kinds of other fun stuff on Telegram. The link in our website, Blue Monday, ITFC.co.uk. And as always, 5-star ratings on your podcast app of choice, a thumbs up here on YouTube, and a subscription is always very much appreciated. So thank you, everyone, for your support. And thank you also to everyone who took the time to post a nice comment on our episode 900 video, which we put out on Sunday. So thank you, everyone who's taken the time to say some nice things to us about that. Ipswich, then, what's Kieran McKenna going to do, Seb? Firstly, it looks like Tuanzebe in, Tuanzebe out. So that's the situation at right back. Is Morsey going to be able to play another 90 minutes, having played 120 on Monday? Took a very excellent penalty, by the way. We've got some possible suggestions of some number 10s who have been out might be available. But certainly one person who's not going to be around is Sam Smorich. Bit of quick word on Sammy Smorich, Seb. It's really unfortunate for him, isn't it?
Real shame. Ankle operation. So I don't think we'll see him again this season. Do you? I think McKenna said he's going to be out for a while, might be back, but if he rolled, when was the injury? It was Fulham away, I think, wasn't it? It's when he first injured it, and then he had the breakdown against Coventry. He
started Man United, didn't he?
He came, but for what, 10 seconds, didn't he, right at the end? So clearly they were managing his fitness there as well. And it's a disappointing one for him because he's had a decent season. He's 4 goals, I think he's got all away from home so far this season. He kind of provides that seniority in the 3 behind Liam Delap. He's older than the likes of Philogene, Hutchinson, and Enciso. So it's a real blow for him. Hopefully he can get some decent rehab. Maybe we'll see him right towards the latter end of the season. I keep forgetting the season does end a lot later than normal, doesn't it? It runs till the last weekend in May. So potentially we might well see him for a couple of games towards the end. Twanzebe, unfortunately, sounds like a hamstring again, although it's not as bad as the last time he pulled his hamstring at Forest. He needs a thumb operation as well, so we can have that done. So I'm not sure when we will see him back. I guess the obvious solution, you shift Dara O'Shea across like we did at half-time. Luke Wolfenden continues in the middle, and Jacob Greaves continues in the left-hand side, given that Cameron Burgess will also be a doubt, having rolled his ankle. Fullbacks, or however you want to do it, 3/4. I'd have Ben Johnson and Leif Davis. Morsey, I think, will continue. Kayust will come back into the side. Sounds like Calvin Phillips is back training, which is encouraging, but I think he will probably be on the bench. I'd be surprised if he were to start. And Morsey looked back to his best against Forest. I know it was a cup game, so it's slightly different, but I have no issue with him coming alongside Kayust at the weekend. And then I guess it's the walking wounded, isn't it, behind Liam Delap? And I think that one of Hutchinson or Enciso might start. So on my prediction lineup, I've gone with Hutchinson, which leaves either Jack Clark or Jaden Philogene for that left-hand role, doesn't it? With Schmodic out and Broadhead kind of out of sorts against Forest, wasn't he? Didn't have the best of games. So I've gone for Jaden Philogene because he got a couple of goals at Man United, and that's his preferred position, playing on the left, where he was playing on the right, wasn't he, against Man United? So either him or Jack Clark. If it was Jack Clark, I wouldn't mind, but the big plus for me would be Wolfenden in the centre of that defence again, because he was excellent.
Yeah, Jack concurs with that thought as well. We look more composed at the back with Wolfie in. I think I agree with that, and still have a few nightmares about Ben Godfrey's last appearance. So that's a reason maybe not to go there, though I'm sure McKenna trusts him if he were to come in. I wonder whether Jack Clark merits a start, though, Seb. I think there's a debate whether Ben Johnson could drop into the right back slot potentially, but then you're not playing Wolfenden perhaps there. But I thought Jack Clark was excellent, and certainly the first half at Old Trafford, and I thought came on and did okay against Forest. Not giving him a chance, just sticking Philogene. Philogene's not played on the left-hand side for us yet, has he?
I think he might have played there. Did he play there against Liverpool away?
You were there, I wasn't.
I think he did, because Burns got injured on the right, didn't he? So I think Philogene might have been on the left there, but that's his position. I just think you've spent big money on him. He's kind of a big money signing, and he did get a couple of goals at Old Trafford. I know there were lots of issues in the second half around potentially maybe coming back inside, taking an extra touch, not whipping the ball in when needed. But he provided that goal threat, so I wouldn't be surprised. But equally, if it's Jack Clark, I'll be delighted, because I think he's really come on since that Coventry game. He's really improving week in, week out, and we're now kind of seeing the Jack Clark we thought we were probably getting back in September, and it does show. If you can just settle these players in, drip feed them a little bit, then you kind of reap the rewards further on in the season. And yeah, if it is him, no issues whatsoever. Do you think one of Amari or Enciso will start in the 10, or if they're both out, what do you do there? Because you've got no Schmodic, you've got no Chaplin. Broadhead presumably is the only real option, isn't he?
Yeah, I wonder whether Clark goes central or maybe Broadhead goes central. I wouldn't be surprised if Enciso magically reappears. I thought there was an article in the Brighton Argus, and obviously Brighton Palace have a very strange rivalry that I can't really understand, and therefore I think there's hope that Enciso plays in that game, and that would be big if he's actually fit for us. But you're right, I think that is a bit of a worry about that number 10 role. And could you see a Hurst and Delap situation? I don't know, maybe
you can't, because how do you swap them out at 60-70 minutes, because you've got no Schmodic, so you'd really struggle in that respect. Obviously Delap did play wide right for Hull quite a lot last season, but no, you need Delap through the middle, and you need the option to bring on George Hurst, who I thought was really good at Forest in midweek as well. I know he got the goal, but his general play leading from the front was impressive. But I just don't think you can risk starting them both, because what if you get an injury? What are you going to do to change it up in the second half? It's an area we are light in.
Yeah. Get your thoughts in on possible selections. Seb has given you his view. I've given a little bit of a counter view on certain areas of the pitch too. We will finish, as always, with predictions, but we have to do my favourite feature on the podcast. Let me tell you all about Brett Vale, Seb. I'm going to, give Brett Vale the time and attention they deserve, because we haven't had a proper pre-match on a Thursday for a while. And then if we have time, we'll do the other bits and pieces on the agenda. But thank you to the support of Brett Vale. Membership fees frozen at 2024 prices all the way through. Your membership will run into March 2026 if you renew now. Head to brettvale.golf.co.uk, and they're on Instagram too. Find out all the bits and pieces you need to. It's getting light out. It's getting warmer. Perfect time to get into golf. You can find Brett Vale just down the A12 and from the Copdock interchange in Constable Country. And if you quote Blue Monday or Rich's crap at FPL, they'll give you £25 on your membership card to be spent in the pro shop or in the bar. So thank you to Brett Vale for their support. And I might go and head down there myself, Seb, and get £25 on my membership card
Will
for
you quote that you're crap,
admitting that I'm crap at FPL. Yeah, where's the fun in not using it to my advantage? In terms of last time out, game week 26, I'm trying to remember what happened in that one. Was it the Spurs weekend, Seb?
Yeah, the Spurs weekend, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, so my captaining of Clivert backfired, didn't it? And Salah was my vice, and that was the major differential there. We both got full quota of Amari and Delap points, but 25-point different for you. The gap keeps growing bigger. Ho hum, what fun. Moving on. This week, I'll start first. What good it is. I've brought in Rashford recently. That was a midweek transfer I did, and then he didn't play in the midweek round, which we don't obviously score for this feature. I brought in Beto because I think Everton have got a good run of games, and I did have Mateta actually. But a little bit of uncertainty around him. So Beto has come in. My Ipswich Town representation is Davis and Delap, with Hutchinson showing as a red triangle there. We'll see. Hopefully it's a yellow triangle by the time we get to Friday night, and then maybe no triangle at all by Saturday. Seb, what's your situation?
I made one change, I think it was. No, two changes. Yeah, I removed Amari because of I presumed he was going to be out for a few weeks. So I took him out and brought in Jaden Philogene, who I've just discussed, think might get a start. So my ITFC representation is still Liam Delap up front, as always, and Jaden Philogene. And then I had somebody on the bench who I can't remember who it was now, who was unavailable long term. So I bought in Ismail Assar because he's doing well. Who was it, sorry?
Was it Ahmad, or was that done? Would you do that?
Maybe it was Ahmad. Yeah, maybe it was Diallo. I bought in Ismail Assar, who's been doing well recently, but because I'm honest and I'm not a cheat like you, I've left him on the bench because they're playing us this weekend, and I might swap it out the weekend after.
I'm not a cheat. I'm just crap. There's a difference.
Didn't you triple captain Haaland against us in the second week of the season or something?
Did it not work for that?
You got a hat trick, didn't it? It did at that point. You were winning for the first.
I didn't triple captain him, but yeah, I did captain him. Yeah,
right,
good. We'll be back. We'll be back next week. Yeah, it's Forest, isn't it?
It's Forest, and then we've got 2 weeks off, haven't we? Because there's there's international break, and there's no game at the end of March because of the FA Cup exit. But then we've got Bournemouth, which has now been moved to the Wednesday from the Tuesday night, right at the start of April.
Oh, yeah, that's a bit crap, isn't it? Well, we'll do a pre-match for the Plymouth game for ITFC Women, I think, as well. We'll flip the screen round, and I'll let you host and press all the buttons, but we might not. Let us know if you want us to go live on that one. We might do that as a pre-record. Good. Get your predictions in. That is where we will finish. But let's enjoy a little bit of music. Yeah, reminder, get your predictions in. If you're listening after the fact, you can get your predictions in the comments, or if you want to join us on Telegram, you can share your predictions there too. Let's see what folk have to say. Richard, I don't think the amount we brought a player for is a factor in them being picked, except in the sense that if we spent that much, we rate them. Yeah, I mean, there's also a nod to next season's Seb in our selection. I think both Clark and Philogene, if ... will be massive for us in the Championship, won't they? And therefore, you want to
yeah.
give them as much game time as they can to influence things right now. And Premier League minutes, given that's where this is the level we aspire to be, I think for those kind of players, certainly Philigine's 21, is he? I think,
Yep.
really massive at this stage. So I think it's more with the future in mind, Richard, than maybe the transfer fee. 4-4-2 is the suggestion from Martin, Clark, and Philogene in the wings, but there presumably is Delap and Hurst up front. That's a bit balls out, isn't it, Seb, at Palace?
Ballsy, isn't it? Yeah, I'd be surprised. So part of me would love to see a good old-fashioned effing 4-4 effing 2 with the wingers just providing cross after cross for physical frontmen. It would be a proper throwback. And these things are cyclical, aren't they? Everyone's playing 4-2-3-1 at the minute, and you never know, it might come back around again. That'd be nice because it was a throwback to the side that we all saw, obviously, growing up.
Ashley, don't see us going with a 3 behind the lap for this one. I think it will be Clark and Jaden behind the lap and more of a back 5 with Johnson dropping back.
On my graphic, obviously, I had O'Shea in the right back role, but I don't expect him to play the same right back role that, a Harry Clark or somebody would play. It'll be that tucked in role with Johnson playing deeper on the right-hand side.
Jack adding that as well. Teams tend to beat Palace by letting them have the ball. So back 5, probably a good idea. See Everton for that one. Neil's given us his team. Let's see if we can translate this. He's got Calvin Effin Phillips coming back in, Seb. Did we talk about that?
Yeah, I said he was back in training, but I thought he'd probably be on the bench, having missed the last couple of weeks. Hasn't featured since Spurs, has he? Which was 2 weeks ago now, was it? So he's missed the last 2 games, Man United and Forest. So I'd be surprised. I'd be delighted, to be honest, if he were to start alongside Karius because they look really good. But I think he'll probably be on the bench with a view to starting against Forest next weekend.
Who's JG?
Jacob Greaves.
Jacob Greaves, thank you. Yeah, I knew that. JC, Jesus Christ.
Jack Clark.
Yep. And JE. Who's JE?
Who's JE? Oh, and Ciso. Is he starting in Ciso and Amari Hutchinson?
Wow. Neil's got his
Fair play, Neil.
I mean, let's go down swinging. Why not? Here come the predictions. Let's go back. Colin's posted it twice. Thank you, Colin. Classified football results: Crystal Palace 1, Ipswich Town 2. Says Colin. Lynn's gone for a 1-1 draw. We'll come to Seb's in a second. Our mate Michael, good day to you. 2-2, Clark and Delap. I don't know who Neil's calling a charlatan, but that's in there. I'll just chuck that in there, Neil. Professionalism is. AD's going for a 2-1 Town win. And so is Neil. And Jack, Palace 0, Ipswich 1. Yes, that's right. A clean sheet, MFers, Mother Hubbards. We won't clip it, Jack. Don't worry about it. Seb and I get into enough trouble about once the podcast is done, it's out there. It doesn't matter anymore. We won't come back. Streaky's gone for an away win. David going for blimey us. Seb and I were speculating about our predictions last night before we recorded, and there's more positivity here than maybe where Seb and I are going to go to. But what have we got? Joe, need to go all out in this game. He says no holding back, make or break time. Do you concur with that one? I feel like this is one where
I think you've got to win one of this or Forest next weekend. Okay. I think you've got to win one of them because then let's be real.
Away from home, this is the one, isn't it? Because we're crap at home, aren't we?
In London. Yeah, the stars are aligning. We're going and not sitting together. The stars are aligning. This is a repeat of Spurs and Wolves and stuff. Yeah, brilliant. Oh, it's in the bag.
You're welcome.
3 points incoming. No, I think you've got to win one of this or Fulham because Bournemouth away, I know Wolves went there, but they were down to 10 men, etc. That's next. And then you've got the huge game against Wolves at Portman Road. So I think you need 3 points from either this one or next weekend. I think if you lose both, it's probably a long way back, given that Wolves have got Everton this weekend. Everton are unbeaten, fair enough, but then they've got Southampton at home when we've got Forest next weekend, and everybody beats Southampton at home, don't
they? James is going for a 4-3 Broadhead winner. Hello to Jeremy. I think we met Jeremy in the Greyhound, didn't we, a few weeks ago? You snap your hand off for a point, he says. Realistically, we need a win. So I'm going for a 1-0. There you go, Jeremy. Thank you very much. Stepped it down. Richard's going for a 2-0 Town win. Clark early goal. Titanic defending. Hurst 87th minute for his second of the week. Ancient Tractor Boy going for a 2-1 Town win as well. 2-2 for Darren. Do we need to bring people down a little bit, Seb? I mean, I'm predicting a 1-0 Palace win here. I'm predicting a toil to work really hard, and then for one moment of stupid, annoying Premier League, like a Wharton assist for Nketiah or Sarr to score. But I'd love to be wrong. Am I going to be?
If I go with my head, I also think a 1-0 Palace victory, because as we've said, they don't really concede. Fourth lowest conceders in the league, if conceders is a word.
Fourth lowest conceders.
Is that a word, conceders? Fourth fewest goals conceded in the league. And they don't score that many either, so a 1-0 home win does make perfect sense. But I'll go with my heart, and I will say a 1-1 draw, because we played a similar team in terms of style on Monday night against Forest, and we got a point. So I'll go for a 1-1 draw, and then we'll beat Forest next weekend, and then we'll all look rosy and happy again. So
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I love some of the 4-3s and stuff. I'd be amazed if there were that many goals in the. I'd be amazed if there were that many goals in the game. But yeah, I'll go 1-1 and a bit of positivity.
Good stuff. Who's signing off, by the way? Is it your turn now? I think
it's you, isn't it?
Did I do Man United?
We lost. We hadn't done one since,
United, didn't I?
But that was a pre-record, so you can sign off this one.
I'll do it. So we'll say some thank yous. If you want to get a last-minute prediction, any team thoughts in, now is the time. We'll drag this out as long as people are around. But thank you again to Atwells. Thank you to One Stop Badges. Thank you to Brett Vale. Thank you to Seb, as always, for his research. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for keeping us company, giving us your insights. Please do give us a thumbs up and do subscribe. 5-star rating on your podcast app of choice. And if you're listening, if you're on the way down or up, depending on where you live in the country, to Palace on Saturday and you're listening, do let us know. We always appreciate that. And as always, the guys will be back Sunday, 8 p.m. live to talk about the game after the fact. Ben, Dave and Joe. But Seb, I'll let you say goodbye, and then I'll sign us off.
Thank you, everyone, for getting involved in the chat. Hope to see some of you at Selhurst Park on Saturday. I've never done it. It's one of the new grounds for me this season. Have you done it before?
No, ticking it off too.
Yeah, ticking it off. This Southampton, Newcastle, a couple more, I think. So yeah, looking forward to ticking it off. Looking forward to making the trip there for the first time. Let's be loud. Let's be positive. 4 years ago, Paul Cook's just taken over. There's no American ownership. Marcus Evans is still here. Everything's rubbish. So it's better than those days, and you can take us out, my friend.
Yeah, thank you everyone for the kind words in the chat. If we see you at Palace, we'll see you at Palace. If not, come and find us pre-match at Forest, and we'll give you a Blue Monday badge. I was going to get the Paul Cook out there. I'm not sure I can do that. So we'll just say thank you everyone for watching. If you made it this far all the way through to the end, and as always, come on you Blues!